His name was Bartram. Bartram Burk. BB. It's what his mom used to call him. BB. Well, Bartram Burk, he wasn't a cruel child. He wasn't a mean child. But he was an angry child. Not towards anyone in particular. See, it started when he was younger. As, I mean, most of this shit does. It starts when you're younger. When you're defenseless, when you can't stop it. But not that Bartram points any fingers. The kids, they were cruel to him, mean to him. He never quite fit in because of the way that he looked and the way that he acted. They would push him, they would call him names, they would steal things from him. And despite his anger, he always tried. He would talk about the things that they liked. He would smile at them. He would give them gifts sometimes. He would let them make fun of him because they would laugh, and he knew that they were laughing at him, but he imagined that they were all laughing. Anyway, Bartram never had many friends, clearly, again, because of the way he looked and the way he was. And because of this, his anger grew. Now, at home, his mother was very, very, very kind to him. His mother was very good to him. She would always come to him, BB, how are you? How was school? Did you make any friends? How was this? How was that? Do you need anything? A very loving mother. And he loved her dearly. Would teach him right from wrong. Would tell him, Bartram, you're going to make it in this world. You're going to be something. You're going to go places. There is nothing that you cannot do. Nothing. And despite everything, Bartram believed her. There's nothing that he can't do. Nothing. It's empowering to think about something like that. It's amazing to have someone say that to you. And in his life, he tried. He tried many things. He would volunteer here. He would pick up a job helping the elderly, taking out trash. Basically, things to help out. After all, that's what good people do. That's how you make it in the world. I mean, apart from being a superhero, like, all the caped fuckers out there, that's what a normal man can do. And that's what Bartram was. He was just a normal man. He was just a guy. He couldn't help it. And still, he was teased, disrespected. He was hated in a lot of ways. Bartram would try to make friends with a co-worker or even a passerby, say a friendly word, and get a grimace, a look of disgust. And so his anger grew. The day his mother died, Bartram wept. It was as though everything that was good and kind in his life was gone, as though the warmth had left. Though her words were always there. There is nothing that you can't do. Now, Bartram tried, continued, worked hard, was kind to others, caring, giving. But again, they grimaced, and they took, and they pushed. And they played games with him. Tricked him. And one day, while he was working as a janitor at one particularly nasty scientific facility, he forgets the name sometimes. There were a group of particularly nasty people. At the core of them being a beautiful woman who Bartram, well, he admired. They locked him in a room, and unbeknownst to them, a switch was flipped, and the room filled with gas, and Bartram, he pounded on the walls, and he screamed, and he cried. And instead of helping him, as he would have, had he been on the other side of the room, had he been on the other side of that door, watching another man beg to be let out, instead of doing the right thing like he would have done, they ran, and they screamed, and they hit a siren, and the noise was loud, and it grew louder, and then there were a lot of footsteps, and Bartram just kept pounding and pounding at the door, until the door started to give way under his fist. And his mother's voice started coming back. There is nothing that you can't do. And Bartram pounded harder and harder, and the people screamed louder and louder, and the door flew off of its hinges, and everyone screamed the loudest, and Bartram felt for the first time in his life that he wasn't being laughed at. And the fists just kept pounding and pounding, and the screams kept going, getting louder and louder, until they were all gone. And still, his anger grew. As he stared down at his hands soaked in red, and he stared at the mangled bags of people that lay before him, he said to himself, there is nothing that I can't do. But if I can't be a good man, and if I can't get the love that I deserve, then I will bring as much pain as possible to everyone that I can. And that's exactly what he did. Until he was bested by a man in a cape and brought to a cell where he was called a monster. They ignore all the good that he did. They forget how much he tried, and they dismiss him as a fucking monster. as a beast, as an animal. They say, maybe he can be reformed. Reformed into what? A man in a cape. A man who lies. Who pretends that he's God. No. No. Bartram Burk is a bad man. But he is the only real man that this world has. And they think that they can stop him with all the caped crusaders and all their police and all their guns and their gas and their bombs. But they forget the words that ring in my head. There is nothing you can't